Welcome to episode 71, Reframing Self-Care to Being More Self-Aware. Welcome to Burnout Solutions. My name is Mona Tippett. I am a registered nurse, a life coach, an emotional resiliency expert, and a mom. I love to help healthcare workers and caretakers and just busy, capable people understand their brain and nervous system so stress, overwhelm, and frustration do not run their life. Here on this podcast, we break down burnout, emotional overload, and survival patterns in simple human language. I love to give you practical ways to feel safer, calmer, and more present in your everyday life. You do not need fixing. What you need is support and a nervous system that knows that it's safe. Thanks for being here. Hello there, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I wanted to talk about self-care because I have been thinking a lot about it and what people think of it. And there has been, I think, a pretty healthy shift in self-care. The thought about self-care, I feel, used to be, eating chocolate, watching TV, eating bonbons, those kind of things, taking a bubble bath, going on vacation, getting a massage. And I'm not saying that those things are not helpful. But I believe self-care is more than that, and self-care can be done all the time. I believe that self-care isn't necessarily a vacation, and it's not time away from your family or from work or anything like that. And there's a few reasons for that. Part of it is you may not have the resources right now to go on vacation, to do something extravagant and lovely and get a weekly or a monthly massage or a pedicure or anything like that, right? So we don't need things like that to have self-care. And sometimes self-care seems like it's just one more thing to do on our to-do list. And if self-care becomes one more task that you're failing at, then that's not self-care anymore, right? It's just more stress on your nervous system, more pressure. And so today I wanted to offer you a different definition than maybe you've thought before. I believe that self-care is spending time becoming more self-aware. And this isn't like spending hours or minutes. It's just micro moments of shifting your thoughts. So when we can go from self-care to self-aware, what do I mean? Well, let's get into it. And I will give a disclaimer. When you do become more self-aware, this isn't to judge yourself in the process. This is just to think about it, to notice it, and not make a verdict on who you are as a person. It's just an observation. So I came up with several ways. I always seem to add things when I say a specific number. So several ways. So the first one is to check in with ourselves and not to check out. Emotional self-awareness, I believe, and it has been proven by therapists, behavioral scientists, neuroscientists, that when we have more emotional self-awareness, more emotional vocabulary, that decreases our stress and increases our resilience. That is actually the mechanism of how we decrease our stress and increase our resilience, is really checking in with ourselves. So when we check in, rather than numbing out, rather than zoning out, rather than turning to our phone, here's what shifts. We do less reacting and more responding. We can listen more. We can be more present. We can be more curious in our relationships. There's less scrolling. We respond more with purpose and authenticity, and we stop checking out of our own life. Okay, the easiest way, I believe, is just asking yourself simple questions in those moments when you feel very reactive and stressed and overwhelmed and frustrated and you don't want people to ask you one more thing. You ask yourself, okay, what is going on with me right now? What do I need right now? This, again, when you are feeling anxious or overwhelmed, I feel like this is really helpful to take a pause and say, what do I need? And if your brain actually says, I need to get the heck out of here, then instead of just reacting to that, you pause and you say, okay, but why? Like, what is going on? What is going on in this situation that is making me feel this way? And I guarantee more times than not, it is the past overwhelming the present moment. So ask yourself, what do I actually need right now? And if it's a healthy answer, then take the time to do it. So maybe it's, I could really use a walk for 2 minutes to just clear my head, walk around the house, walk to the mailbox, run up a flight of stairs, just shake out that energy. Maybe it's box breathing for a few rounds. Maybe it's, I need to just pause, go clear my head, get a drink. Maybe I'm too hot. Maybe I'm too cold. Maybe I need to use the restroom, whatever. And then do it. When we can take care of ourselves and become self-aware in small micro moments and find a very actionable, doable item, it interrupts our spiral before it ruins our whole day. So check in, don't check out. The next one, I kind of already alluded to, is ask yourself better questions. This one's so simple and so underused. I love when people ask me a question that I need to pause and think about. One of my favorites is, how can I support myself when I am doing X, Y, and Z? What would make this more fun? Especially when we have something that we really want to do, especially when we have a high patient load, especially when our classrooms or our homes or our car, or if you're driving carpool, is really going crazy. How can I support myself in this? And sometimes even the honest answer is that the task that you're doing or the task that you're thinking about may not even be yours. I remember working as a nurse, I would think of all these things that I needed to do. And then sometimes I would pause and say, actually, I can't do this, but my patient can. So how can I help my patient do this? Or what can I assign my kids or my students or my spouse to do to help me with this? If it's something that I need to do for myself, absolutely, I know it's my responsibility. I ask the questions, how can I support myself in this? How can I make this more fun? How can I gamify it, right? And when we can take care of ourselves, when we have our own back, that is self-care. So the next time you're looking down at a task at work or having a conversation that you don't want to, or maybe you're not looking forward to a particular shift working with certain people, ask a better question of, how can I support myself through this? And hopefully you will find, like me, that it changes everything for how you show up. Okay, the next one is feel and express a full range of emotions. I do believe that we are getting better at that, but I believe that this is a piece of self-awareness that a lot of us skip right past. Feeling and expressing a full range of your emotions and not just the comfortable ones. Part of this is building your emotional vocabulary. I cover this a lot with my clients. When we can just get more specific with what we are feeling and increase our emotional vocabulary, it helps us so much to be able to give a more accurate label to what we're feeling. And the more specific we can get, like, oh, I'm fine, or I'm stressed out. Okay, why? What are you feeling? Are you frustrated? Are you uptight? Do you feel disregarded? I think when we can get more specific than I feel fine or stressed, it helps us process it more. Like, do we feel bothered? Do we feel cold? Do we feel outraged? Do we feel selfish? Do we feel reactive? Do we feel rage? Do we feel pushy? Do we feel ashamed, empty, fatigued, heartbroken, belittled, bitter, blocked, anything like that? Do we feel perplexed? Are we paralyzed? Are we guarded? Are we frightened? Do we feel bullied, bewildered? The more specific we can get, the more clues it gives us to how we can process those emotions and deal with them. I used to have uncomfortable emotions, just like a lot of my clients, emotions that you're scared of or you resist. But all emotions are energy in motion. And where does that energy come from? Well, it comes straight from your nervous system. Your nervous system gathers clues and creates a nervous system state, and then your brain makes a story of what that means. So this is not abstract. It is actual physical, physiology, biology. It's happening in your body, whether you name it or not. But the more specific we can get, the better we are at processing it. I also encourage you to check in and say, what emotions do I have a hard time feeling? What emotions do I have a hard time acknowledging or expressing, and why? And here's the follow-up that gets really to the heart of it. What happens when you don't express them? Because guess what? Energy and motion just doesn't disappear. They go somewhere. So ask yourself, what things do I end up doing to buffer my emotion instead of actually feeling? And our goal is to not hide from the emotion, just to notice a pattern. Do we shop? Do we scroll? And then here's another layer. Your body will actually tell you when you're not expressing something. Do you have headaches, backaches, a tight jaw, nausea? Do you have a hard time sleeping? Those are not random. I believe that those are your unexpressed emotions showing up as physical signals trying to get your attention, just in a different way because you decided not to take care of those. Okay, so the next one, which I have a few podcasts on, give yourself permission to say no. This one is huge. I see it constantly in high achievers and the caretakers that I work with. Just give yourself permission to say no on purpose, and you don't even need a reason. A lot of people feel guilty just giving a reason. Because you don't want to is a good enough reason. And I believe in our culture, are so bad at that. So ask yourself, what situations do I have a hard time saying no in? And then you can go deeper. What do I believe will happen if I do say no? A lot of times that belief that we have, that pattern that we have, if we can solve that, we're doing more work there than actually taking care of that situation. And here's where it gets interesting. I want you to think about this and then check in and ask yourself, what messages were modeled to me about saying no? What was a blueprint that we got handed? What was our foundation? What did your parents do when you said no to them? Did it get met with warmth, with a conversation, with curiosity, or was it punishment and guilt, right? Often those backgrounds and those patterns are still running in your brain today. And then here's just a body-based check that you can use in real time. What do you feel in your body when you say yes, but you actually mean no? For a lot of this, there's a physical sensation there. It's often a tight chest, a sinking feeling, a held breath. And once you can recognize that, it can become a signal to you that you can actually catch in the moment, instead of realizing it after you've already overcommitted once again. Okay, which kind of brings me to the next one. Learn your nervous system pattern. There is a bigger picture here. When we learn our nervous system patterns, like the ones you picked up from your past caretakers, from your relatives, from past teachers, past coaches, past bosses, anyone that has shaped you in the past or in a current situation, you learned how to respond to stress and conflict. And then take a look and see if those patterns are the ones you actually want to keep, or were they just the ones that you inherited without really ever choosing them? Some questions that you can ask yourself here is, what was modeled to me when it comes to conflict? I love this one. So many people have a hard time being honest, direct, and kind. And I myself am working on that. I am getting better at that. I also ask myself, how do I handle rejection? What do I make rejection mean about me? How do I handle hard things in general? How do I handle topics of money, of sexuality, of other things that are hard? How do I handle feedback from other people? Now, remember, this isn't about blaming the people that we came from, but it's about noticing what is actually yours by choice versus what is just running on autopilot because that's what you watched growing up, or that's what you watched in a specific job. I hear people say that, well, in my old job, we did this, but here we do this. Okay, well, you actually have a choice. You have a choice. Even if people say you don't, you actually have a choice to keep those patterns going or to change things. Okay, the next one. This is one of my favorites that I've become so much better at. And I believe it is huge in actual self-care. And that is the thought of letting people be being wrong about you. This one is so freeing. When we can be okay with people being wrong about you or not giving your attention to their judgments at all, it is so freeing. This is a skill that I believe is crucial to master your brain and be the boss of it. Because humans are very tribal, we want to fit in. We want to be accepted. We want others to like us. We are social. And that is a huge part, is if they don't like me, maybe I should change. Or if they don't like this, I want to change to fit in. I have teenagers right now, and everybody wants to fit in and have friends and, adjust what they can to fit in. And I keep telling them, let people be wrong about you. And here's a few questions that you can ask yourself to kind of unravel your thoughts about that. Ask yourself, why do I care so much about what others think? Why do you? Next, why do I let other people's judgments guide what I actually do? Think about that. And then the useful part, how much insight is actually there for me and what can I use versus just let go of? Because not every opinion aimed at you deserves a seat at the table. Not every opinion you need to calculate and lose sleep over and think about, but there is some useful feedback. And so this is where you get to decide what is helpful and what is not. How can I take that feedback? And is there something, a pattern or a behavior that I don't really like and I didn't know I was doing, or, it bothers all these people. So yes, I can change. So this is why we're asking ourselves and becoming more self-aware. And this brings me to my next one, which is take responsibility for your own peace and your own happiness. I just re-aired a podcast on emotional independence. And I really do believe that it is our job to maintain our own happiness and our peace, and that it is nobody else's. Ask yourself, what brought me happiness as a child? Even the small things. How can I take more responsibility for my own perspectives in life? This is huge. Our perspectives are what bring us happiness or misery, joy or stress, overwhelm, or this is easy peasy, right? It's just the way that we look at things. Both of these together, of letting people be wrong about me and understanding that my own happiness and joy is mine to create and own, has been huge. Okay, the next one is to practice self-compassion. Practice being kind to yourself, using real compassion. Let yourself know that you are a human that makes mistakes, and all humans make mistakes. The other thought that I love is that living in a world with other humans is genuinely hard. And this reframe has also helped. It's supposed to be that way. Life is supposed to be hard. Just that thought has helped me also. Humans make mistakes. Life's supposed to be hard. We are supposed to learn from each other. And that is why we're all here. I totally believe that. And just those few sentences have done a lot of work for me personally. Just remembering that life with other humans is messy, and it's supposed to be messy. It takes so much pressure off of you. It takes so much pressure off of other people around you, your coworkers, and everybody else. And that has really helped. And just remember that you're not failing because it's hard. It's hard because it's hard. Hard is hard. And that is the nature of it. It's not a sign that you are wrong or that you're doing anything wrong. Okay, the last one is learn to accept and ask for help. And I think this is so hard. It might be the hardest one for a lot of you listening. I have become so much better at it, and I try to deliberately do it. And that is, I accept help, and then I have deliberately asked for help. This is especially hard for people who are independent, and we honestly believe that we could do it better than other people. But there is a lot of learning and humility and power, I believe, in asking for help. I also believe that this includes asking for professional help, not as a last resort. It's not a sign that you couldn't handle it on your own. It's actually one form of self-care that we've been talking about this whole episode, recognizing what you need and letting yourself go get it. I coach lots of people, and a large majority of my clients actually have a hard time spending money and time on themselves. But I believe personally it is the best investment that you can do, because there is a ripple effect. When you work on yourself, and learn new skills, change habits, change patterns, become less reactive, become more emotionally resilient. When your nervous system becomes more at peace and living in a zone of connection instead of protection, it has a ripple effect and it changes every single aspect of your life. So ask for professional help. And that is all that I have. So in closing, I believe self-care can be done in micro moments 1,000,000 times throughout the day. Self-care is self-awareness, and it is a gift that we give to ourselves. And by giving that gift to ourselves, it's a gift that we give to everyone around you because you are becoming the best version of you. So check in with yourself instead of checking out. Ask yourself better questions. Own your own joy. Become emotionally independent. Feel and express a full range of emotions and label what's actually going on inside of you. Give yourself permission to say no and also say yes when you really mean it. Investigate your nervous system patterns that you are actually choosing by choice and decide if you want to keep them or if you want to retrain them. Let go of what others think of you. Let them be wrong about you. And then be kind to yourself in a world that is genuinely hard. And let yourself receive help, not just give it. Okay, so I don't know how many of those are, but those are all that I've thought about today. And I know that's a lot, but you don't have to work on all of those. There were several questions that I suggested. Just ask yourself a few of them. What's going on for me? What do I need right now? What would bring me joy today? You don't need a vacation to answer any of those. You just need a moment and a willingness to actually ask yourself. So if you want help figuring out what any of those answers are, that's actually the kind of thing that I do on a burnout recovery call. It's low pressure. It's a real conversation. I am confident that I can change something in your life for the better in 30 minutes. And I'd love that challenge. So go to my website. The link is in the show notes. So talk soon, and thank you for listening. Every week, you're learning something new here on this podcast, and that is a powerful first step. But guess what? Information alone doesn't create transformation. True change happens when you start to think differently and shift the nervous system patterns that drive your behavior. As a coach and an emotional resiliency expert, that is the work I do. I love to walk alongside you, whether it's one-on-one, in a small group that you choose, or with your workplace team. I can help you retrain your brain and nervous system so that stress no longer runs the show. You'll find ways to connect with me in the show notes. Let's do this work together.